Right, so now in the player we've got From Russia with Love. Okay, so basically once you've got it to the main menu, just start the film. Because right from the off, after the lovely MGM logo and the gun barrel sequence, is a nice sequence at night within the Gardens of Pinewood Studios. Right, so on screen I've just got the gun barrel and I've just been shot. So once the circle disappears, you'll see Sean Connery walking over a bridge, and that bridge is over the little lake that's in the Gardens of Pinewood Studios, which you should be able to see on your map. Here we go. Now, on one of, I would say about the third date that my wife and I went on, I kissed her on that bridge. There was a couple of plaques at the end of the bridge, on the sort of the end pillars, and they say what sort of actors and various things have kissed on that bridge and whatnot. And here we see Robert Shaw just coming over the bridge. Right, so what I'll do is I'll just kind of commentate what we can see on screen rather than giving you a time code. There will be a time code in a minute, but so obviously these are just bushes, what you can see, and their feet on the pathways, but that's not exciting. But in a minute we should be able to see a few more distinguishing features of the gardens. Alright, so if you pause it when you see Roger Moore sort of Sean Connery, sorry Sean, he's basically standing next to a sort of a crazy paving kind of pathway, and you should be able to sort of see sculptured bushes. Now we're going to see these again in the daylight a bit later on in the tour, but I'm pretty sure the direction we're looking would lead us up to the admin building. But again, you'll see that in Hellraiser 2 when we get to that film. So if you press play again and you see James Bond take a shot at what he thinks is Robert Shaw, he's standing next to a statue. I think in a second you'll see a water fountain, and we'll see that, there we go, there's a water fountain. We will see that fountain in Mary Poppins Returns. Now I don't know if these statues are permanently in the gardens or if they've just been put there to sort of dress the gardens a little bit. You know, I've noticed on this Blu-ray of from this lovely James Bond box set behind me that Sean's face is actually very pale, been made up very pale, but I think that's help. And there we go, the camera pans up and all these lights come on the back of the mansion. But when you see them tear the mask off, the mask is very pale, so I think they're trying to make it look, get it ready for that. So yes, if you've got it paused with lots of people standing on sort of a patio, and there's lots of lights on the back of a big house, that is the back of the mansion, which Pinewood was built around, basically. Now, if you look at the flyover that I did from the book, then the mansion isn't that colour anymore, it's now white. And obviously it doesn't have all those lights all over it, but there is now also like a conservatory built on it. So the entrance to the gardens, so having come from sort of the building from the Johnny English film, if we went right over to the corner of the gardens, rather than sort of straight on to where the Harry Potter set was, you would basically go through a gate, and you'd be walking along that patio right there. Now, if you look at the left of frame, you can see a tree putting a big shadow on the house. Now that tree, and also the gravel path that you can see in front of the patio, that'll be where the character in Hellraiser will be walking along and walking past when we get to that film. So just trying to help orientate you a little bit. So let's unpause it, let's carry on watching. So now you've got people walking onto the grass. Robert Shaw retracts the cord from into his watch. So this is obviously the Spectre base, their sort of headquarters, but it's actually the mansion at Pinewood Studios. And there's the terrible mask that I was telling you about. So yep, that's that sequence, and now the opening credits will start. So the one time code I said I can give you, and we can look at some more of the grounds but in daylight. So if you go to 11 minutes 16, I mean, you can sit and watch the opening credits if you want, but I'm going to go to 11 minutes 16 and not be distracted by the lady shaking her various body parts with 007 on them. Here we go, 11 minutes 16. Basically, you should see Robert Shaw sunbathing. So if you look at your map, there is obviously the little lake, and you can see the path and the bridge that goes over the lake, the bridge that we just saw, and sort of behind that there's kind of like a little island. Now I'm pretty sure this is where they are now. So if I play it on, and that camera is looking pretty much back towards the mansion then when the lady's legs were on screen. Right, so yeah, I think we've got that body of water. You can sort of see that there's right by her head that looks like the island. So this helicopter is obviously coming in. That would have been over the East Side complex basically. Now it's landed in the grounds, and you can start to see some of the gravel pathways that adorn the gardens. And actually, if you, so I've just paused it where Clegg's just got out the helicopter, but so if you rewind it slightly, and if you can pause it, let's see, so they open the door, when they shut the door, right, so basically just above the gentleman's head who's shutting the door on the helicopter, that is where the gate is into the gardens basically. And the pathway leads back towards where the Harry Potter set was. So anyway, carry on playing, and so obviously we're now going to go back over to where Robert Shaw and the lovely lady giving him a massage was. Now I noticed while researching this, she says, "Where are they?" And what you hear is "by the lake." But what the gentleman in the middle says, and what Clegg also says, "by the pool." So that just goes to show you the dialogue replacement afterwards. I guess maybe it was going to be a pool at some point, but they decided to pick the lake. And this again, you can see, so this bit actually, so we've gone through the hedge and it now shows that we've cut to somewhere different, because if you frame skip back, or you could actually scan back, and when you press play again, as they come through sort of the entrance into this training area, oh, actually, you can see the gate. I've just wound back a bit too far. Let's see, what time code am I at? 12 minutes 43. So if you go to 12 minutes 43, and you've got the three of them on the screen, and Clegg is obscuring the gentleman behind his head, you could see a gate basically. So that's a nice clear shot of the gate into the garden. And I've gone in and out of there quite a few times in my time at Pinewood Studios. So now if I play it on, and we go through the bamboo bit, and then now I think we're in a different part of the studio once the camera's wide again and we see them come through the entrance, and you've got the gentleman on the left is either taking knives out of the dummy with the red spots on. So as this plays on and the camera pans up, I can see through the netting some sash windows, and a long sort of building. I'm not entirely sure where that is. So could that be? I don't know, because then when it plays on a bit more, it looks like the yellow building in the background is perhaps one of the stages or something. You know, I'm not entirely sure. So there you go. It just goes to show that 1 second we're in one part, and then the camera cuts and we're in another part. I guess the area beyond those bushes was not big enough to lay this set out, but maybe I'll investigate a bit more and try and work out if it's still in the grounds of Pinewood, and if so, whereabouts. You know, so maybe down the line I'll do sort of a follow-up bit just of anything else I learn. So now when it comes to, it's now cut to, where are we, 13 minutes 20, and you've got the three of them walking towards screen left, with the gravel path in the background and trees and bushes and everything. Now if you see just up from, well, where I've got it paused, Clegg's hand, there is another path that goes off, and I think if you look at your map, that's the path that has the hedges either side and the flower beds, and that we'll see in Cinderella. But I think that leads to possibly the big fountain that we saw earlier. So that should help orientate you a little bit as to where we are. And as I said, if you can remember that they were sunbathing by the lake and the little island part of the lake. Yep. So there we go, Robert Shaw jumps up. And that's basically it, really. I mean, so that's some more of the gardens in the daylight. Obviously very nicely kept, as always. But I'm sure there are times when they have to let it grow and they need to make it look shabby if they need to have a slightly shabby looking set. That's a groundsman's nightmare. A friend of mine is actually a groundsman, and there we go. I think we're in Istanbul now. So that's the end of sort of From Russia with Love in the grounds of Pinewood Studios. Obviously there would be other sets in the stages. Oh, excuse me. Yes, my friend is a groundsman, and I think his name David Worcester. He's not like a friend, but more of an associate. I know him. He also has long hair like I do. But yes, he said that he was doing the groundwork for, I think it was The Force Awakens, Star Wars The Force Awakens. And when they were at the Rebel base and you see all the sort of the concrete bunkers and the grass, he had to do that grass, but he had to make a mess. He had to make it messy rather than tidy. So it kind of goes against what he does. So where you see those nicely manicured gardens there are occasions when the groundsman has to make it look messy, and kind of goes against their job. But so there we go. So there's From Russia with Love. And what's up next? You know, I can't remember. Yes, I can. I said it earlier, didn't I? Hellbound, Hellraiser 2. So if you want to get that loaded, and we'll get on with the video. See you in a minute.